This morning, an ROV, or remote operated vehicle, from the vessel Horizon Arctic discovered the tail cone of the Titan submersible approximately 1,600 feet from the bow of the Titanic on the seafloor. The ROV subsequently found additional debris. In consultation with experts from within the Unified Command, the debris is consistent with the catastrophic loss of the pressure chamber. Upon this determination, we immediately notified the families.
Catastrophic implosion. Get ready to hear those words a lot over the next coming days, because it is believed that that is what happened to the missing Titanic sub. A catastrophic implosion. Have you ever held an empty Coca-Cola can in your hand, or an empty water bottle, and just squeezed it? That's kind of like what a catastrophic implosion is like, although it's way worse and way quicker. In fact, before they probably could even tell that there was a problem, they were already gone. These implosions, they happen within milliseconds. Before you could even realize something went wrong, you're already long gone. And as you all know, I'm no expert on implosions. I am no expert on subs. But judging from the information that we've gotten so far, we know that they found the back end of this vehicle, and they found the nose of this vehicle, which would lead me to believe that it imploded from the middle. Like it imploded in on itself from the middle, sending the back end flying one way and the front end flying the other way. Now, I've seen the reporters at the press conference. I've seen people online. They're asking, well, what about the bodies? Is there going to be a recovery effort? Are they going to try to dive down there and find the bodies? I don't want to get too graphic here, but I don't think people understand what a catastrophic implosion is. This would mean that there is nothing left of their bodies. Like they just, in a millisecond, everyone on board just, you're not going to find anything. That's how crazy these implosions are. So I don't want to, it feels weird even talking about it, but I've already gotten the questions, and I know that people are out there asking these questions. But no, I don't think there's going to be a recovery effort for the bodies, because there's no bodies left. And I don't even know if there would be clothing left. I don't necessarily know how these things work, but when you're under that much water and there's that much pressure, if it can cause a sub to implode, what do you think it's going to do to the human body? But I'm sure you all have a few questions as to what is going on here. We're still trying to find out the details, but I do want you all to watch this quick clip from the press conference earlier, because it answers some of the questions that you may have. I'm sure some of you have already seen it, but after this clip, I'll be back with more of my thoughts as well. So let's go ahead and tune into this clip. You hit that thumbs up button, and I'll be right back.
So essentially, we found 5 different major pieces of debris that told us that it was the remains of the Titan. The initial thing we found was the nose cone, which was outside of the pressure hull. We then found a large debris field. Within that large debris field, we found the front end bell of the pressure hull. that was the first indication that there was a catastrophic event. Shortly thereafter, we found a second smaller debris field. Within that debris field, we found the other end of the pressure hull, the aft end bell, which was basically comprised of the totality of that pressure vessel. We continue to map the debris field, and as the Admiral said, we will do the best we can to fully map out what's down there.
Thanks, Paul.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
It's a very difficult question to ask, but it will be important one for the families, of course. What are the prospects of recovering the bodies of the missing crew?
So the questions was related. I'm restating the question from the standpoint of sometimes it's hard to hear the question here. What are the prospects for recovering crew members? And so this is a incredibly unforgiving environment down there on the seafloor, and the debris is consistent with a catastrophic implosion of the vessel. And so we'll continue to work and continue to search the area down there, but I don't have an answer for prospects at this time.
Admiral Costello of NBC News, is there any suggestion at all that the sub itself collided with the wreckage of Titanic, or that instead it might have imploded above the wreckage and then rained down nearby?
So the question was, is there any question as to whether or not the sub collided with the Titanic or whether it imploded above and debris field created from that? So the location of the Titan submersible was in an area that was approximately 1,600 feet from the wreck of the Titanic. I have an expert here that is familiar with that area and can talk about the debris field and what the debris field indicates in terms of where the casualty may have occurred.
Rear Admiral, really quickly, can you tell me when that massive fleet will be called back?
The expert voice is coming up to answer the question.
Thank you, Admiral. So the question is, where does the wreck lie in relation to the Titanic? I didn't hear the Admiral's answer. I think 1,600 feet. Was that correct, Admiral?
Yep, you got it.
So that's off the bow of Titanic. It's in an area where there is not any debris of Titanic. It is a smooth bottom. There, to my knowledge and anything I've seen, there's no Titanic wreckage in that area. And again, 200 plus meters from the bow, and consistent with the location of last communication for an implosion in the water column. And the size of the debris field is consistent with that implosion in the water column.
Thanks.
What would cause the implosion? In terms of the timing here, you say that this was a catastrophic implosion. And I know it's early on, but is it your estimation that this happened right at the moment when they lost contact, an hour and 45 minutes after the descent?
So the question was about the timing of the catastrophic implosion. Right now, it is too early to tell with that. We know that as we've been prosecuting this search over the course of the last 72 hours and beyond, that we've had sonar buoys in the water nearly continuously and have not detected any catastrophic events when those sonar buoys have been in the water.
So yeah, from the looks of it, I've seen people asking if the sub maybe collided with the wreckage of the Titanic and then there was a breach and the sub imploded. From the looks of it, it looks like this sub imploded over the Titanic. It's insane to think about the fact that the pieces of this craft are now basically amongst the Titanic wreckage, 1,600 feet from the Titanic. And even though this is a heartbreaking, devastating situation, there's almost something poetic about that in a weird way. especially considering the fact that some of the people on board this sub, they had dedicated a lot of their lives to the Titanic. One of the people on board we talked about in a prior video, he was labeled Mr. Titanic. And the fact that his final resting place is the Titanic, it's insane. This catastrophic implosion, even though it's terrible to think about, it's probably one of the best case scenarios that we had in this situation, because at the very least, it was instant. You know, their death was instant. Instead of them being trapped in a dark, cold sub, running out of oxygen for days on end. You know, I think this would have been this is a better way to go. Let's just put it like that. It's hard really talking about things like that, but in the grand scheme of things, when you really think about it, this is kind of one of the better scenarios, as opposed to what we were all thinking was maybe happening at the, at the oceans, the bottom of the ocean, in a tin can, trapped to where you can't even move or stand up or stretch your legs. It makes me feel icky just thinking about it. It makes me feel claustrophobic. This story has given me this weird underlying anxiety throughout covering it, because I can't help but almost mentally try to put myself in their position. And I couldn't imagine being in that position, and even thinking about it, it does a number on me. So obviously this is not necessarily the outcome that we were looking for or hoping for, but this is what went down, ladies and gentlemen. At least we know. I was thinking that maybe this would become another mystery, and that for years to come, people would be risking their lives trying to go find the wreckage of the sub that was exploring the wreckage of the Titanic. So I'm glad that, our questions have been answered, and we don't have to wait for years. The mystery doesn't have to build up. I'm not sure if they're going to try to recover the craft or not. In my opinion, you let me know how you feel about this. Considering the fact that these people lost their lives, considering the fact that at least 3 of the people on board were really fascinated in the Titanic. They were explorers. This is something that they loved doing, they wanted to do. I honestly think that they should leave the pieces of the craft down there with the wreckage of the Titanic, and they will forever be tied to the history of the Titanic. Maybe not in the way that they wanted to be remembered, but if I was the family, I would want that craft to just remain where it is, as a part of history at the bottom of the ocean, and also as a reminder to anyone else who visits down there about how serious this is. Going down there and seeing the Titanic wreckage, it must be a humbling experience. It must be a weird experience when you just think of all the people who died on board. But imagine going to see the wreckage of the Titanic, and on the way seeing the wreckage of the Titan, the sub that imploded on the way to the Titanic. I think that's something that would put under ocean travel, or whatever you want to call it, into perspective for the people that are down there. But let me know your thoughts about all of this down in the comments below. There's a lot of other details, weird stuff surrounding this topic that I'm going to continue covering. So my coverage of this topic does not stop here. In fact, we're going to dig into some really interesting details, because I still think there's more to this story. I'm not saying there's a big conspiracy, but there's more to every story. And we're learning a lot more about the people in the ship. We're learning a lot more about the ship itself. So there's a lot of details that I have to still cover. Let me know your thoughts, though, down in the comments. While you're down there, hit the thumbs up, hit that subscribe, ring that notification bell, and I will talk to you all in the next video.